How's it going, everyone? How are you doing? Today we are going over the Chelsea v Liverpool game. Well, trying to predict the Chelsea v Liverpool game. We're going to go over some talking points and going through their matchups last year, their most recent matchups, Chelsea being Brighton, Liverpool being Leeds, and some potential lineups that we could see, and just how I can see the game playing out. I'm very excited and nervous for this game. I'm a Chelsea fan, if you haven't been able to tell. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to watch this game. It is currently Saturday the 19th. Tomorrow is the big day. I am scared because, again, I mentioned this in my prediction video, this game could have some huge implications later on in the season. So I really want Chelsea to perform, but this is not going to be an easy game by any means. It's going to be a very tough, very, very interesting, and overall intense game. I think I just said that, but that's just how I feel. It's just how I feel the game's going to play out. To be honest, it's going to be really fun to watch. Really fun to watch, in my opinion. Now, some player news for Chelsea. Hakim Ziyech still out. Pulisic was a doubt before the Brighton game. Unfortunately, he had some discomfort in training a couple of days before, so he had a setback in his injury. The injury he had back in the FA Cup final. What was that? A month ago now? And it's a hamstring injury, I believe, so that's not really something that you can just come back from. And I'm glad they're taking their time with it and not just trying to push him into games. They're trying to give him a chance to recover and come back at full force. And I'm really glad they're taking their time. Billy Gilmore is still out after having, I believe, knee surgery. Mark Van Ginkel, regardless, he still has an ACL injury, so he's out. Thiago Silva was someone who I thought might have started, but it makes sense why he's not. The reason why he didn't start against Brighton was lack of match fitness, and he only just got back to training this past Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday, but regardless, 3, 4, 5 days is really not enough time to get fit to play against a team, let alone Liverpool. So he's not playing, and then Chilwell still has, I believe, his ankle injury, and he is out for the game as well. For Liverpool, Xherdan Shaqiri still out. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain still has his MCL injury. And new signing, well, they have had a couple new signings since then. I'll go over that in a bit. Kostas Tsimikas is it Kimikos? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he had been diagnosed with, I believe, COVID when he was out with Greece on international duties. However, I think it is probable that he does play for Liverpool. There's a chance he should be clear by that point. Whether he's going to be on their bench or not is a different story, but regardless, he still should be available for the match. With that being said, let's go into their last 3 matchups from last season. Now, the first time these two faced each other last season, it was in the Premier League. Liverpool did win 2-1. However, I think Chelsea surprised most. They really came out and took it to Liverpool and did not let them have their way, hence the close scoreline. And again, I feel like this surprised a lot of people because Chelsea were underperforming somewhat underperforming by that point, by the time they faced each other. Now, the second time they faced each other was in the FA Cup. Chelsea did beat Liverpool 2-0. Holding them to 0 goals, I thought, was a very impressive feat. This was on the back of a little bit of a skid that Liverpool were having. They lost to Watford, kicked out of Champions League by Atletico, and now they got kicked out of the FA Cup by Chelsea. But nonetheless, Chelsea capitalized on everything Liverpool were doing wrong, and Liverpool couldn't score. Our defense actually looked good. Kepa actually looked really good that game. I remember he made a number of saves that saved us from losing it completely. Now, the third matchup, and honestly one of the most wild second halves rather I've ever seen, was the last game they played last season against each other in the league. It was Liverpool 5, Chelsea 3. Now, the first half, I believe, ended 3-0 or 3-1. I think it was 3-1 to Liverpool. And almost immediately out of the break, I'm pretty sure Liverpool scored again to make it 4-1. But then Chelsea showed a lot of resilience. Pulisic came off the bench and had an amazing showing and nearly pulled off a stunning comeback. It was 4-3, and then Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain scored and made it 5-3. And unfortunately for Chelsea, Liverpool ran away with it. But to score 3 goals against Liverpool, I believe that it was at Anfield. So I'm pretty sure that first loss was it was at Stamford Bridge. So that one was at Anfield. And to score 3 goals against Liverpool at Anfield is impressive. But to concede 5 was the problem. Now I think that this upcoming game will be similar to that last matchup in the Premier League, hopefully with a Chelsea win. But I think it's going to be a shootout. I think I could very much see 6, 7, 8 goals in this game again. It's going to be a really intense game. I don't see it being one-sided. And if it is, I'll be really disappointed. Like if the final score is 3-0 and it just wasn't a very competitive game, I'll be really disappointed. Well, less disappointed if Chelsea's the one that won, but regardless, still be a bit disappointed because this is already a highlight matchup, a key matchup very, very early in the season. So I'm expecting a lot out of this game. Now, I think this game is definitely going to be decided by how strong both sides' defenses are. Who can come up with those last-minute clears, those last-minute tackles, those types of things, who can stop the counter better, and pretty much how long the defense can hold on. I very much believe that a slow start in this game will cost you a lot of precious possession and counterattacking opportunities. How well each defense deals with the counterattacks, like I mentioned, is going to be very crucial. I don't think there's going to be much room for error, if at all. It's one mistake could cost you that all-important goal that decides the match, and it's simple as that. Getting out to a slow start will only hamper any chance you have in this game to really gain a foothold. I feel like it's going to be back and forth as to who's really in control of the game, who has the momentum. I feel like that's going to go really back and forth. And at times I have a feeling it's going to get a little scrappy, a little sloppy, particularly in the midfield as these teams fight back for control. It's going to get a little ugly in my opinion. Bad passes here, bad tackles here. Overall, I do think it's going to be a fairly clean game though in terms of like fouls. I don't think there's going to be a lot of malice in this game. I have a feeling it's going to get a little heated maybe at certain points, but it's mostly just going to be the competitive nature, not really anything done with malicious intent. So in that term, I think it's going to be fairly, clean. But in terms of the actual gameplay, it's going to be a bit sloppy. These two teams are definitely going to battle a lot, though. They have a lot of pace. A good amount of pace up front. They have very strong counterattacking football. And it's going to be an intense midfield battle. I could definitely foresee that. And whoever gets the most breaks is going to win. It's who can be more clinical, pretty much, is it. Who can be more clinical and whose keeper will come up better. I'm going to go over my lineup, so I'll go over that right now. So my predicted lineup is, and this one's really tough to call, I'm going to go ahead and say Kepa in goal. I just think that it's the safe bet, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Lampard decides to start Caballero or gives Kepa another chance. Again, Kepa did have a really good game against Liverpool last season in the FA Cup, so it depends on what Kepa we get, whether we want to risk him making a mistake or having a bad game. But I'm going to say Kepa in goal for now. I'm going to say Reece James. The defense for me is going to stay relatively the same. Reece James on the right, Christensen right center back, Zuma left center back. And I think Azpilicueta takes Alonso's spot at left back. Now, in the midfield is where it gets a little tough to call. I think I'm gonna go with a 4-2-3-1, sort of a variation on Lampard's 4-2-2-2 that he used, which I thought was a 4-3-3, but it wasn't. It was actually a 4-2-2, which means the broadcast lied to me. So I'm gonna go with a 4-2-3-1. Does that add up? Yeah, 4-2-3-1 with two holding midfielders obviously Conte and Jorginho. Then moving up for the 3 at the left attacking mid, well, for you guys, left attacking mid spot, Mount. Center, Kovacic. On the right, Havertz. And then Werner up top. I just don't think that it would benefit us to put Kovacic in the same sort of spot that Loftus-Cheek was in. I think Kovacic needs to be in the midfield and not, more of an attacking presence. He needs to be helping to control the midfield and not so much stay up, but stay in the midfield and help us control the game, control the tempo. Because I have a feeling that's where a lot of the game's going to get decided, is in the midfield. On the bench, Caballero, Alonso, Rudiger, Barkley, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Giroud, and Abraham. I think he's going to be on the bench. And this is a fairly strong lineup. It's definitely a lot more attacking oriented, which I think is kind of what we need. But at the same time, Jorginho and Conte need to help the midfield battle as well. Their defensive duties should come first. However, they do also need to help us in this midfield battle that's about to happen. And Kovacic needs to drop back as well. Now, Havertz and Mount will play those center attacking mid roles, but I could definitely see them sort of breaking into wingers, which is why I could easily see this formation turning into a 4-3-3 on the dime and allowing maybe Jorginho to push up more or Conte. But regardless, I'm going to go with a 4-2-3-1 for Chelsea with that starting lineup. Now, with Liverpool's lineup, I actually wrote up my prediction before a couple of signings went through. Those signings being Diogo Jota and Thiago from Bayern, Jota from Wolves. But actually, no, I'll probably end up changing. But they're still going to be on the bench for me. But I'll probably end up switching out a couple. I'll tell you my original thoughts on the bench and then who I think Jota and Thiago will replace. But regardless, I think their starting lineup looks very, very familiar with Alisson in keep, Trent on the right, in the 4-3-3 formation, by the way. Trent on the right, Gomez, right center back, Virgil van Dijk, left center back, Robertson, left back, Fabinho, in a more advanced center mid role with Henderson in the holding role, Wijnaldum, left center mid. Maybe Fabinho and Henderson switch. I'll just leave Henderson in the holding role, but maybe Fabinho plays that holding role. I wouldn't be surprised. Salah right wing, Firmino center forward, Mane left wing. Again, a very familiar lineup. We see this all the time from Liverpool. Not that much of a surprise. I don't see much changing. They're gonna keep trying. They're gonna keep doing their try and true formula. Now to the bench, I want to say Adrian, their backup keeper, Milner, Minamino, Origi, Matip, Keita, and Curtis Jones. Now again, this was written before Jota and Thiago were brought in. Now I'm fairly certain that they're both healthy. So assuming they are and assuming Klopp decides to put them on a team, I would replace Minamino with Jota and probably Curtis Jones with Thiago. Now I don't see Thiago starting. I don't think Klopp just immediately lets him get that starting spot right away. I think he'll have to earn it a bit over time, and if he can prove that he deserves to be in the starting lineup, then he'll get thrown in there. But again, I just think he'll be on the bench for now. I believe it was already said that Jota was going to be a squad player, a sort of rotational player for Liverpool, which is kind of what Shaqiri was doing for them before he kept getting injured. So that's why I see him either in for Minamino or Origi. Probably Minamino though, because they play relatively the same sort of role, and I think they'd like to have Origi in there because he's a clutch player. He's proven to be in recent times. And then Thiago for Curtis Jones, again, veteran, having that sort of veteran status over a youth would probably better fit them better in such an important game. Now, this is going to be, again, a tough game for both sides. And I'll be really disappointed if it is a one-sided game, as I mentioned. If it really does just go one team's way, I'll not be too happy, especially because I have woken up early to watch this game. But I really want to see a good game between these two. I think there's going to be a headline match right away. It is a headline match right away. Chelsea can make a statement of intent with a win here, that they aren't just going for top 4. They want to win this season. So I think this win would be really, 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 I don't know how many realities I can say, important to this campaign, towards their statement of intent for challenging for that title as soon as possible. On the flip side, it's also a really big game for Liverpool because this is their first time going against another big side in the Premier League, and they got off to a relatively shaky start to the season, especially defensively. So this is their chance to continue to prove why they deserve to win the title again, and another statement of intent for them, defending the title. You know, they got it after so long, but then next season they just can't even challenge for it. So of course they're gonna come out swinging. They're gonna do Liverpool things, be very scary on the counter, be very stout in defense, and control the game through the midfield. So it's really gonna be up to Chelsea in this game, as to how this game plays out. If Chelsea come out swinging against Liverpool and don't let them have their way, then this is going to be a really good game. But if Chelsea come out timid and refuse to really go at Liverpool, then it's not going to be a fun time for them. And we're more likely to see that one-sided game. And yeah, that's it. That's my predictions. I did not throw out a score. I'm going to say, I think I did actually. I'm going to say 4-3. 4-3. I threw in the score in the prediction video. 4-3 to Chelsea. Who's going to score? Let's go with Werner. Let's go with Werner twice. I'm going to say Havertz gets 1. And penalty for Jorginho. Jorginho. Penalty for him. And for Liverpool, I think Mane, Salah. No, Alexander-Arnold scores another free kick against us. And Jota comes on and scores another one and gives them a chance to come back. Or maybe equalize. Maybe it'll be when Jota comes on, it'll be 3-2. Jota equalizes, and then Timo Werner, new guy, comes up and gets the dub. Hopefully, I'm definitely expecting a shootout. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a high-scoring draw either, because these two teams on paper, I think Liverpool has the edge, but in terms of form and what we saw both their last games, they are relatively similar. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a high-scoring draw, but I think it's going to be a 4-3 win for Chelsea. And that's my predictions for this game. I am very nervous and excited to watch it, and I really, really can't wait to see how this turns out. And hopefully it fits the bill. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Leave that bell on so you're notified when I upload. Go check out the socials. My Twitter is @BlueHermit1, Instagram @BlueHermit_. Please share the socials with all your friends, family, everybody you know. Let the people know Blue Hermit's where it's at. And I'll see you guys there. Bye.